if I were a smart musician, I would have done what the other smart musicians did, which is only license your music in places where they don't speak English. You know, that's, I mean, all the credible musicians, I don't want to name names, but they don't license their music in the UK or the States, they license it in Portugal, or they license it in South Korea or Japan, and that way the tastemakers, you know, the music journalists never hear about it. But it's a strange phenomenon because, I mean, I have been criticized for licensing my music to commercials, but it's odd for a few reasons. One, that most of the journalists who've criticized me write for publications that are wholly funded by ad revenue. You know, so there'll be an article criticizing me for licensing my music to commercials, and on the next page, an ad for Ford or Budweiser or what have you. And the same journalists or people who criticize me for licensing my music actually, you know, buy the products that are being advertised. And I don't know, maybe it's the old punk rocker in me. I always thought it was cooler to take money from a big corporation than to give money to a big corporation. So I have regrets that I did too much licensing, and I should have, as I said, been smart and done what everyone else does, is only license it to South Korea and Japan. When Play came out, at first it didn't have any success. You know, the reviews weren't very good, it didn't sell very well, and then it sort of picked up momentum and became a successful record. So at first, the only way I had to make people aware of the music was by licensing it to movies, TV shows, advertisements, so we did a lot of it. In hindsight, I think I did too much of it. There's another ironic aspect of it, which is that at the time, people in the music business, be they musicians or record executives, heaped scorn on me for doing this. And now those same record executives are all working at licensing companies, or they're working at record labels where they're desperate to license anything. And a lot of the musicians who also criticized me are now bending over backwards and prostrating themselves to try and get their music licensed. So I think that, unfortunately, and I don't mean this in a positive way, I was sort of the avant-garde of licensing. You know, I was like the shock troop of licensing, so as a result, I got killed first. You know, so now everyone does it, and no one's really criticized for it. But yes, in hindsight, I definitely did way too much of it. But the only reason I got involved in the music business was because I love music and I want to make music, and selfishly, I'd like people to hear the music that I make. I'm not too concerned with the commercial ramifications of producing and producing music and putting it out into the world. If people want to buy my music, fine. If they don't want to, that's fine with me too. Again, my only interest in the commercial side of the music business is to try and get people to hear the music that I've made. You know, so I don't look at the music business and think, how can I make a lot of money from it? I look at it and I think, how can I strategically try and get people to hear the music that I've made? And so when I look at the fact that the record companies are falling apart and revenue streams are drying up and royalties are, you know, a tenth what they used to be for a lot of people, it doesn't concern me from sort of like a fiduciary perspective. It only concerns me from a musician's perspective, where I just hope that in the future I'm able to make music that people will be willing to listen to.